This is MTG Burgeoning, and in this video we are going to update and upgrade our Kaalia of the Vast EDH deck. Thank you for joining us for another installment of the Up and Up series. Today we update and upgrade Kaalia of the Vast. My very first commander deck, all the way back to 2011 when the very first sealed commander product from Wizards was released. She headlined the Heavenly Inferno deck, and ever since, she's been headlining my heart. But before we continue, let's make sure that everyone out there knows that in the description of this video, there are links to this build's deck tech, the up-to-the-minute deck list, and the video primer series. We have 4 cards going in and 4 cards coming out. Somewhat of a controversial swap in there as well. You'll let me know how controversial that is, of course, in the comment section below. So let's get right to it by adding in Shattered Landscape. Here we have a somewhat powered down fetch land, but we can get a little more use out of that than just sacrificing it for a land. We can tap this to add our colorless mana. We can tap and sacrifice this to search our library for a basic mountain, plains, or swamp, and put it onto the battlefield tapped. So that's kind of like a more specific Evolving Wilds or Terramorphic Expanse, whereas those 2 lands sacrificed to get a basic onto the battlefield tapped. Here, it's just a mountain, plains, or swamp, which is fine for us because those are the only basics we're running in this Mardu build. And lastly, if we should happen to draw this card mid to late game and would benefit from another card instead, we can pay those aforementioned Mardu colors of a red, a white, and a black, discard this, and then draw a card. That is the cycling cost of Shattered Landscape. So with this Mardu specific land going into the 99, coming out of it is going to be just Field of Ruins. Field of Ruin, not pluralized. So here we're taking out a land that somewhat helps out our opponents if we decide to use its activated ability of 2 generic mana, tapping it and sacrificing it to destroy a non-basic land an opponent controls, and then each player searches their library for a basic land and puts it onto the battlefield. Now, we are done running this land. If we're really worried about land removal, and we're generally not, then we have much better options than Field of Ruin. Yes, we get to replace our land. The opponent's destroyed non-basic land gets replaced, but we're also helping the other opponents to ramp their mana. No, we're done with that. Shattered Landscape in, Field of Ruin, you are out. Alright, next card going in. This is card number 2, and it is, you knew. If you were a long-time member of MTG Burgeoning and you know about this Kaalia build, you knew it was only a matter of time until this baby was jammed right into the 99. Well, that time is now. Valgavoth, Terror Eater. Here we have a legendary Elder Demon 9/9 body with flying and lifelink for 6 and 3 black mana. This is going to be a game changer, folks. Okay, so if a card we didn't control would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, we exile it instead. So keep that in mind. That's battlefield, anything that's destroyed or sacrificed to the graveyard, anything that's discarded from an opponent's hand, anything that's milled from their library. We don't have to be the ones to do it. All we have to benefit from is one of those cards going to our opponent's graveyard. It gets exiled instead, and then during our turn, we may play cards exiled with Valgavoth. And if we cast a spell this way, we pay life to its mana value. We pay life equal to its mana value rather than pay its mana cost. Did I mention this is a 9/9 lifelinker? So if we hit this with the 9/9 lifelink and gain that 9 life, we can cast spells up to 9 mana value for absolutely free because that was life we had just gained. And we don't even have to worry about gaining the life. We start the game with 40 life. If we get Kaalia out on turn 2 or 3 with haste and Valgavoth is in our hand, all we needed to make sure is that our opponents have some some spells in their graveyards, and then we are just going to absolutely dominate, and we're going to run away with the game. Note that this is any card that's put into an opponent's graveyard. Sorceries, instants, planeswalkers, anything. That is just amazing. And what if our opponent wants to remove Vel'Gavoth with some spot removal? Well, it has Ward, sacrifice 3 non-land permanents. It's going to cost you 3 non-land permanents just to target Vel'Gavoth with any kind of removal. And you better hope it's an exile removal, because if you send it to the graveyard, boy oh boy do we have ample ways to get that card back into our hands or right back into the graveyard. Absolutely game-changing. This may be one of the most powerful demon. No, it's definitely one of the most powerful. This may rival Griselbrand, and Griselbrand is banned in this format. I cannot wait to start playing with Vel'Gavoth. That is just going to be unbelievable. An absolute slam dunk inclusion into this build, and it is going to replace the Ancient Gold Dragon. Now, the Ancient Gold Dragon, I have no ill will towards AGD here. An amazing card in my Scion of the Ur-Dragon deck. If it hits and you get a nice lucky die roll with the D20, it's absolute lights out. However, yes, it does help to populate our side of the battlefield with those 1/1 fairy dragons that fly, but it is an island to itself. Here with Vel'Gavoth, we're getting so much more for the investment of just getting it onto our side of the battlefield. That 9 mana value is costly, but most of the creatures in this deck are costly. This is our ultimate cheating creatures into play deck, and Kaalia does it better than anyone else. So the mana values really aren't that big of a concern. The 7/10 body, a combined 17 power and toughness, yields to the 18 of Vel'Gavoth. The lifelink helps to extend our life total. The ability to cast those spells is just game-breaking. And the fact that if we have an unlucky die roll with the Ancient Gold Dragon and maybe get 1 to 3 of those little 1/1 dragons, I know the odds are in our favor, 50-50, we're getting 10 or more. But still, overall, for this build, Vel'Gavoth is going to help the build more than AGD will. And if for some reason we need to revisit an episode in the future to try to get Ancient Gold Dragon back into the 99, we will do that. But for the time being, the best, I shouldn't say the best, because that's kind of a misnomer here, the creature that I identified in the current deck list as being the weakest is Ancient Gold Dragon. It is a creature in and of itself. It doesn't have any other interactive abilities with other creatures or opponents. It's just getting harder and harder with more and more powerful dragons, angels, and demons that get printed to justify keeping cards that, let's face it, Ancient Gold Dragon is not a bad card. But here in Kaalia, when the pool is becoming just filled with bigger and beefier and more choice options, it's getting harder and harder to reconcile keeping creatures like Ancient Gold Dragon. All right, card number 3 going into the 99 of this Kaalia build. It is Demonic Council. This is absolutely perfect for this build. I wonder if they actually made this card with Kaalia in mind. It has a mana value of 1 and 1 black mana. Keep that in mind because it's going to be important as we move forward. We get to search our library for a demon card, reveal it, and put it into our hand. And then we shuffle, of course. However, this card has the Delirium mechanic, which means if there are 4 or more card types among cards in our graveyard, which is very, very possible here, then instead we search our library for any card and put it into our hand. So without the Delirium, we're searching for a demon. With the Delirium, we're technically demonic tutoring. And why is that important? Well, the aforementioned controversial swap, well, we're seeing that right now because Demonic Council's going in and it's replacing Demonic Tutor. This is not me saying take out the Demonic Tutor in your Kaalia deck. This is not me saying replace Demonic Tutor with Demonic Council. If you can run them both, that is fantastic. For me, a Demonic Tutor in a different deck is going to be much more impactful than leaving it in this deck when I have a Demonic Council ready and available. Demonic Tutor, not a cheap tutor. Rarely is it ever cheap. Even when it gets reprinted, it still doesn't drop that much. If the day comes where it is reprinted and it does, have a nice substantial drop, then yes, we will revisit Kaalia in the future in another episode of the Up and Up series, getting back another Demonic Tutor. But here in this instance, this card, for me, will be more impactful and resonate more in other decks that do not have Demonic Council available to them, and that really is the crux of that swap. We need Demonic Council in another deck more than Kaalia needs it with the inclusion of Demonic Council. Plus, keeping in mind, even if we don't have the Delirium, the Demonic Council can put a demon into our hand that can act as a Demonic Tutor or better. Check the deck lists to see exactly what I'm talking about. And this brings us to the fourth and final card of this video, the last card going in, Vile Mutilator. This card is an uncommon, and it is mind-boggling to me that it is. It's a 6/5 demon, it has flying, it has trample, and a mana value of 5 and 2 black mana. Perhaps the mana value is the reason why it is an uncommon, but to Kaalia, we don't care. As an additional cost to cast the spell, we sacrifice a creature or an enchantment. Again, we're not looking to cast Vile Mutilator, we're looking to put it onto the battlefield with Kaalia or any of our other numerous cheat-and-to-play abilities. And once we do get Vile Mutilator onto our side of the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a non-token enchantment, then sacrifices a non-token creature. If we are sitting down to a table with 3 opponents, that is a 6-for-1. We're getting Vile Mutilator, I'm sorry, not 6-for-1, yeah, that's 6-for-1. We're getting Vile Mutilator onto our side of the battlefield, and then each of our opponents are going to sacrifice 2 permanents at most. That is mind-boggling here, and with all of the recursion that we have in this deck that can get that creature back right onto our side of the battlefield from our graveyard, an amazingly impactful demon to add to this Kaalia build. With Vile Mutilator going into the 9-9, of course, we have to take a card out, and that card today is going to be the Balrog of Moria. Now, I like this card. I do. That 8H trample and haste is very, very nice. I mean, especially if we're cheating it onto our side of the battlefield outside of using Kaalia or Sneak Attack. I mean, the mana value is a bit steep. Look at that. We're talking 4, 2 black and a red. And this was the clincher for me in putting Vile Mutilator in. When it dies, we may exile it, and if we do, then for each opponent, we exile up to 1 target creature that player controls. So, we have to exile this creature, which means we lose it. And in a deck like this that has so much creature recursion from the graveyard, I don't think we want to lose that creature just to get the ability to exile target creature from each side of our opponent's battlefields. I know that with Vile Mutilator, when it ETBs, our opponents get to choose which non-token creatures they sacrifice. However, getting it onto our side of the battlefield multiple times in a game is only going to yield us positive benefits in the form of better card advantage and overall board state. Here with Balrog, we can use it once, and then we lose it to exile. And we're not really worried about losing an 8/8 trampling haster. We have nothing but biggins in this deck. So I think overall, for this type of build, when it comes to impact and opponent interaction, Vile Mutilator is going to do more for us than the Balrog did. All right, there you have it, MTG BC. 4 new cards for Kaalia. You let me know your thoughts about these changes in the comment section below. This is MTG Burgeoning, your channel for all things Magic.